You're watching Bugs Bunny's Birthday Bash.
Little old me? Really and truly?
Hares to you, Bugs. Happy birthday. Stay tuned for a special documentary celebrating the Wascally Wabbit, starting now on MeTV Toons.
Friends, settle in for an epic tale. A rabbit's tale, and I don't mean the little white fluffy kind. On this day, many years ago, a bunny was born. But this bunny was different. He sang, he danced, he wisecracked, and he conquered the world. Bugs Bunny, of course. Bugs has been around a long time, but he's still in great shape. His eyesight's sharp as ever. Must be all those carrots.
What's up, Doc?
And as his close friends will share, it's a Wascally Wabbit's world. We just live in it. Hares to Bugs.
Earth calling Bugs Bunny. Earth calling Bugs Bunny. Are you there? Are you there? Come in, Bugs Bunny. Over.
Who is Bugs Bunny?
Hello, Bugs Bunny, Private Eyeball. I'm the B-19. I'm the rabbit.
I'll tell you who Bugs Bunny is. He's that Wascally Wabbit, and I'm gonna catch him.
Oh, Bugs is pure anarchy.
Pick up pie. Roger. Your pie, sir.
In a lovable way.
He's smart, he's sassy, he's sarcastic.
Gee, thanks.
He hosts the madness.
I'm just a humble little wabbit that lives in a hole in the ground, Doc. And all I do is eat carrots.
He is completely unflappable and unfazed, and he's just a great character.
Bugs Bunny is in that upper pantheon of the most recognizable cartoon characters in the world.
It's true, Doc. I'm a rabbit, all right. Ain't I, you stinker? You sure are, rabbit. Worth my documentary.
When I hear Bugs Bunny, it puts me back to being a 4 or 5-year-old kid. It's Saturday morning.
Bowl of Captain Crunch, Saturday morning.
Through a very bulbous black and white TV.
I make myself a nice glass of chocolate milk. I camp out on the couch. I'm hearing that theme song.
That was where I was first enchanted by the rabbit.
Ah, my public. How they love me.
I was raised like everybody of my generation and today's generation on Bugs Bunny.
I like to say I'm a cartoon nerd who was raised by cartoon nerds. I remember a middle school art class. I had drawn Bugs Bunny in this art class with all these other cartoon characters much smaller around him. And I remember the art teacher saying, like, what is the meaning of this piece of art? Why have you drawn this giant Bugs Bunny face? What is it you're saying here? Are you saying that you think he's the most important character? And you're thinking, yes, yes, I think that's exactly what I think.
Here's what impressed me about Bugs Bunny when I was a kid. There was no situation that Bugs could not get out of.
I always liked the confidence of the character, adventure of the character, and the creativity of the character. And it was always making the best of the worst situations.
Bugs Bunny is kind of the guy we all want to be. We all aspire to him.
We all want to be Bugs Bunny, I think.
He made me laugh, literally, out loud. And I really wanted to do that. It was absolutely instrumental in my wanting to become an animator.
I was in my junior year at University of Pittsburgh. I met Mel Blanc. He was giving a lecture performance there, and I just happened to be there.
Mel Blanc is the gold standard to voice acting.
He is the quintessential voice of Bugs Bunny.
I had to have a tough voice, either Brooklyn or the Bronx. So I thought, why don't I put the two of them together, Doc? So that's how I got the voice for Bugs Bunny.
I found out he was staying on the campus, and I followed him back to his hotel room and knocked on his door about 10 o'clock at night. and I heard a voice that said,
just a jiffy.
And so he opened up the door. I just said, Mr. Blank, I'm one of your biggest fans. I'd love to be able to spend just 5 minutes with you if I could. So we must have talked for maybe 45 minutes or so. That was a watershed moment for me that changed the trajectory of my life.
I have a similar story. We moved to Los Angeles when I was 14. And kids, they used to have a thing called a phone book. So I just thought, I'm going to call Mel Blanc.
Hello, is Mr. Blanc there?
And I recorded it. I have that recording.
Mr. Blanc?
Yes.
My name is Bob, and I'm interested in doing voices for cartoons.
Yes.
He was very nice. You know, he said, how did you get my number? And I told him.
When you were doing Bugs Bunny, did they say what's up, dog, and talk like that?
No, they just actually showed me a cartoon, a picture of the character they're going to use in the cartoon.
It was like, you know, a kid in the 30s seeing Babe Ruth. I was in heaven.
I grew up knowing that these cartoons were made by people, and that just made Bugs Bunny more fascinating because he felt so believable and so alive to me. I just wanted to be a part of that world. And I just wanted to know more about the people who made these cartoons.
Who makes these things? How do they do this?
Happy birthday, Bugs. More of the carrot-loving Wabbit is coming up after these messages.
3, 2, 1, start!
He's got a need for speed.
I've never driven so fast in my life.
Driving a car like no other.
You can't lose with this amazing car. It can do everything.
Together, they're unstoppable.
Speed Racer is the winner.
So, shift into high gear for all the chills, spills, and thrills with Speed Racer. Late nights at 1 a.m., 12 Central on MeTV Toons. Bugs Bunny's Birthday Bash is brought to you by Ben right now.
The 3 words that I would use to describe Bugs Bunny, that rabbit's crazy.
How'd I describe Bugs in 3 words? Above it all.
So if you look at what was going on in the late 1930s with these cartoon characters, Porky Pig was far and away the biggest star. And then all of a sudden he was beat by Daffy Duck. And everybody thought, well, now what do we do? You're not going to beat that. We beat Porky Pig. We're not going to beat Daffy Duck anytime soon.
But there was something in the timing of Bugs Bunny, just the general atmosphere about him, just created something very special.
Bugs' appearance has changed considerably over the course of his films.
Pretty brave when you got a gun, ain't you? You're liable to get hurt with this thing.
In the earliest appearances of the sort of proto-Bugs characters,
Got a hunting license?
he's actually a white rabbit who looks very different from what we think of Bugs Bunny now.
His voice was a little bit like this, and he actually had Woody Woodpecker's laugh.
But I haven't got one now.
As Bugs went on, he kind of stretched out. His legs got longer. His chest went out. One of the biggest influences on Bugs' character are the Marx Brothers, and specifically Groucho. Bugs would use his carrot in the same way that Groucho would use a cigar.
I hope you won't mind waiting while I remove these wet tints and slip into a dry martini.
Was it Clark Gable that was kind of like the inspiration for kind of like his speech pattern, at least when he's like chewing carrots?
And It Happened One Night, Clark Gable. Classic performance. At one point, he just takes out a carrot and just starts chomping on it. And that fit perfectly with the idea of a rabbit and Bugs Bunny. So they used it, and it fit his personality.
Another major way that you feel the influence of the Marx Brothers is Bugs would frequently break the fourth wall.
Bugs will break the fourth wall and look directly to camera to let us know that we're all in on the joke.
Rabbits are sweet, furry little creatures. They wouldn't harm a hair of your head.
Get him. He don't know me very well, do he?
I really have to go back to Tex Avery's A Wild Hare, which finally crystallized who that character was. The character isn't going to run in a crazy panic away from a hunter with a gun. He's going to play mind games with him.
What's up, Doc? Shh, there's a wabbit down there.
What's up, Doc? Was a very common phrase in Texas at the time. And Tex Avery was from Texas, hence the nickname Tex. And so Tex was the one who actually brought that.
As Bugs developed, especially with Mel Blanc's acting, he became a much richer, more subtle character.
Originally, it was very...
Right, what you talking about there? Yeah.
It shaped a little more into that, what Mel would often say, the Brooklyn and the Bronx.
That Bronx accent really made the grade. It told you who this character was, why he was so street smart, why he was going to one-up you.
I think it is sort of a Brooklyn. Yeah, what's up, Doc? I think what Mel did was a sort of a Bronx.
What's up, Doc?
A New York, Upper East Coast.
What?
Don't tell me. I know. What's up, Doc? Rabbits!
Street hoodlum. Without the hoodlum.
I don't know of anyone who has that accent. Other than Bugs Bunny, of course.
Bugs Bunny without the voice would have been fine, would have been an okay cartoon character. But with the voice, he became so three-dimensional, almost four-dimensional, that you had to love him.
Welcome to Jellystone, Doc. A restful retreat. Oh, brother.
One thing that Bugs is great at, vocally, is shading. It's like when Sam says, "You find the gold and I'll share it with you, 50-50. And Bugs goes,
"Honest and for true?"
You know, in a very sarcastic way that we know he's having Sam on, but Sam doesn't know it.
Sure. Square deal Sam, they call me.
Well, one of the things I love about Bugs Bunny was that he's a very collaborative creation.
My father's connection with Bugs Bunny was one of the fathers. There were 5 fathers of Bugs Bunny.
Each of the directors took him in a different direction. Chuck Jones being one of the 5 fathers, but with Tex Avery, Chris Freeling, Bob McKimson, and Bob Clampett.
My relationship with Chuck Jones was doing backgrounds, and then I started doing cell painting. Chuck viewed Bugs Bunny as like almost persona. He has that underlying humor. It's just more quiet. It's more under-breath humor.
Bob Clampett's Bugs Bunny. Absolutely screwball. Definition of the word Looney Tunes.
In Bob Clampett cartoons, Bugs could be a victim. He could be a bully himself. He could be selfish. He really wants to win the Oscar in What's Cookin' Doc.
Your favorite and mine, our own James Cagney.
Chuck Jones pushes the style of these cartoons perhaps further than the other directors.
Well, the sun ain't even out yet. No wonder I'm so sleepy.
He was always experimenting with the cartoons visually. He pushes the style of the drawings, he pushes the style of the backgrounds, he pushes the style of the movement.
The Rabbit of Seville, where Bugs Bunny, he's a barber working on Elmer Fudd. Da-da-da-da-da. 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 And his little ears are whacking at Elmer's head. Friz Freeling wouldn't do that. McKimson wouldn't do that. Chuck Jones will do that.
everybody had kind of their own style and were allowed to have their own style.
Well, it's kind of interesting as a kid. You just take it for granted that Bugs was a little bit different from cartoon to cartoon. And it didn't bother you that Robert McKimson's Bugs Bunny was a little chunkier. Chuck Jones's was a little bit more sophisticated and a little bit more of a wise guy. And Frizz was a little bit more wacky. And Clampett was crazy wacky.
How does that moron do it? I'll find out his secret if it's the last thing I ever do.
As far as the audience was concerned, it was always Bugs Bunny. Happy birthday, Bugs. Our birthday celebration will be right back after the break.
So long, Screwy. See you in St. Louis.
Let's see what's on the tube. You'll get a bang out of this next cartoon. Just what I've always wanted.
MeTV Toons has a hippo to holler about.
Peter Potamus by name.
Flying around with his sidekick, So-So.
I think he means us, Pete.
And his friends, Breezely and Sneezely.
We're here to have fun.
Plus Yippee, Yappy, and Yahooey.
Hey, that's us.
The Peter Potamus Show.
What time is it?
Weekdays at 11:10 Central
Hey, watch it.
on MeTV Toons.
If I had to describe Bugs in 3 words, that would be comic, shyster, and it would be artist.
If I had 3 words to describe Bugs Bunny, timeless, legendary, stinker.
In the earliest Bugs Bunny cartoons, Bugs Bunny is a rabbit. He's a hare. He's a bunny. He's in the forest. He lives in a hole, and he encounters people who want to disturb his lifestyle.
Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
But soon he was so popular that he ended up everywhere in every kind of short, from westerns to musicals to anything you can imagine.
It's very fun to place Bugs in a pre-existing genre because you know who the character is and you kind of know how he'll react. I think pretty quickly they found you can almost drop him into a fantasy scenario and you don't need to explain why he's there.
This is a street smart New York guy who is unfazed and who can cope with anything that's dished out at him. And so it's fun to watch him arrive in the Sahara Desert.
Miami Beach at last.
The middle of France.
Eiffel Tower. Champs-Élysées. Hey, I must be in Paris.
Bugs Bunny can be put in any genre and still be inherently Bugs, but yet the world is kind of around him different.
It's almost like a good joke. As long as it's set up perfectly, it should all fall like dominoes every time.
Each animation director had such unique interests and what they wanted to focus on. I have favorites of every one of the directors.
What's really great about a good, solid character is that they can do anything. Abbott and Costello could do anything. Jimmy Stewart can do anything. A great actor, a great character can do anything. Bugs could do anything.
I have the same favorite Bugs Bunny cartoon that I would say nearly everybody who is a fan of Bugs Bunny and his work has, and that's What's Opera Doc. That's just a perfect cartoon, start to finish.
There's no setup at the beginning of the cartoon to explain why Bugs and Elmer are in an opera. They just are, and you just accept it. The art in What's Opera Doc is pushed maybe further than almost any other Looney Tune. The use of color, the use of shape, the use of composition. It's Bugs and Elmer at their most classic dynamic. They're almost remaking scenarios that you've seen them in previous cartoons, but the window dressing is so different that it makes it so much fun to experience it this time around.
Poor little rabbit.
what did you expect in an opera? A happy ending?
It was the first cartoon that was inducted into the National Film Archive in Washington and considered by many of the historians to be one of the greatest cartoons ever made. Another one of my favorite cartoons with Bugs Bunny is Rabbit of Seville, another opera.
Welcome to my shop. Let me cut your mop. Let me save your crop. Daintily, daintily.
It's the first time that I had seen jokes timed to music. Realized that there was a comedic choreography going on and that it was epic because you had not only tied character to music, but you tied character and music to animation.
That was brilliant. That was just absolutely brilliant.
It gave many generations the opportunity to explore classical music. It was a wonderful introduction to classical music.
I loved the operas, the musicals, the things I learned out of that.
My favorite Bugs cartoon is Long-Haired Hare with the opera singer. Seeing that as a kid for the first time, and literally I was on the floor. His face turning all the colors and his clothes budding and flying off. That's one to watch all the way to the end.
And then, of course, the Western genre is so much fun.
I'm the... Yeah, shut up! Did I hear someone say shut up?
Yep.
And any of the Western cartoons with Bugs Bunny and Yosemite Sam.
Stranger, you just yupped yourself into a hole in the head.
You've been eating onions.
That's such a great genre.
He was in sci-fi.
He's been to Mars.
He was in fairy tales.
Let me handle this.
I smell the blood of an English wabbit.
I loved Racketeer Rabbit.
Don't look at me like that, Moxie. I'm your pal, Moxie, your buddy pal. Yeah.
It's curtains for you, Rocky. Curtains.
It's so great to see Bugs in a cartoon as a gangster.
Curtains. Yeah.
Any kind of a sports genre. Baseball Bugs. I love that. Where Bugs Bunny is every character.
Bugs Bunny, center field, Bugs Bunny, first base, Bugs Bunny, shortstop, Bugs Bunny, second base, Bugs Bunny.
So incredibly inventive how that was written.
When you look later on at his sports prowess, well, like in Space Jam, for example, when he's playing with the big boys, when he's playing with Michael Jordan and all the greats of basketball, he played right up there with them, didn't he? He knew what he was doing.
I think he probably is the smartest guy in the room, because otherwise there'd be no comedy if he wasn't one up on these people that are always trying to keep him down or try to get rid of him or hurt him in some way.
I can't think of a certain cartoon where he came out losing. He's undefeated. He's just got this uncanny ability to, no matter what the situation is, no matter what is thrown at Bugs Bunny, he just comes out of it and he wins every single time.
But I think my favorite thing about him being able to cross into all the genres is his adaptability. Immediately, he's a fish out of water. He doesn't know how he got there, Doc. He's got to figure out something to do, and he always does. And that's what makes him great.
I get the worst of it from that wabbit in every one of these cartoons.
You're watching Bugs Bunny's Birthday Bash. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I want you to watch this television program featuring the moose and the squirrel.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Me TV Toons presents The Adventures of Rocky.
Hokey Smoke, Bullwinkle. Look there.
And Bullwinkle.
Hokey Smoke, I hope we make it, Bullwinkle.
That's my line.
And a host of others. All week long at 11:10 Central.
Kill the moose.
On Me TV Toons.
That's me.
Bugs Bunny's Birthday Bash is brought to you by Balance.
So if I were to describe Bugs in 3 words, I would say Weisenheimer, crafty, and sharp.
3 words to describe him. Inspired, passionate, and out of his ever-loving mind.
Uh-oh.
Bugs was always just wanting to be left alone, and it was only the antagonism that got him fired up.
Bugs Bunny does not start a fight, but he certainly does not back away.
Of course, you know, this means war.
All hell breaks loose when you bother Bugs Bunny on his good day.
Different adversaries bring out different aspects of Bugs's character. An Elmer Fudd story is very different than a Yosemite Sam story.
I like Yosemite Sam very much, who people say was actually based on Friz Freeling's hot temper.
The roughest, toughest, rootinest, shootinest claim jumper that ever jumped a claim. And I'm a-taking over your claim.
Elmer Fudd usually has a weapon. Without a weapon, he would not be very intimidating at all. So that's why Bugs Bunny has to use his wits against him, but he's easy to manipulate.
Yosemite Sam, he's just always hot under the collar. I feel like he's always at 10, and at some point he gets to like 15, blows his stack, and then the cartoon's done. And it's so funny to see him get beat by Bugs.
Gee, I couldn't do that to the little guy. Hey, Sam! Shut up!
He's always probably punished the worst.
Be it Elmer Fudd or Yosemite Sam, I think he enjoys the idea that try as they may, he's gonna win.
Elmer Fudd, he's the punching bag.
He just seems so like mild-mannered and like thinks he has it all together. You know, he could be a hunter, he could be a farmer, he could just be
Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire, I own a mansion and a yacht.
But then here comes Bugs.
I get the worst of it from that wabbit in every one of these cartoons.
There's just something magical about the way they play off of each other. Are they allies? Are they enemies? Are they somewhere in the middle?
Now I gotcha, you screwy wabbit.
What's up, Doc?
Get off! Say your prayers, wabbit.
The answer is yes, yes, and yes. They are friends, they are enemies, they are frenemies, they are allies, they are all that and less and more.
Now, my masterpiece.
Wile E. Coyote is a character who is very taken with himself and considers himself to be a brilliant genius. Because of this, Wile E. Coyote always overcomplicates things for himself. He is usually his own undoing as much as Bugs Bunny is.
Yosemite Sam is probably my favorite adversary. He's a wild character, funny unto himself, whether he's a pirate or a cowboy or a sheik or the Yosemite Sam from outer space. I love that because it makes no sense, right?
I'll wait right here until he comes out. Then I'll disintegrate him. Yosemite Sam of outer.
Marvin the Martian, who is a character I identify with because he's kind of an angry nerd.
Oh dear, now I suppose I shall have to use force.
He was my favorite. I can still call my younger sister today, and that's all I have to say to her is, "Greeting, Earthlings!" And she would say back to me, "Greetings!"
He was threatening, but he wasn't quite that threatening. But he was menacing because he was from Mars.
Special delivery from Mars.
Bugs had to stop him.
I'm going to blow up the Earth.
Oh, goody. Another uranium Peel-36 explosive space modulator. Isn't that wonderful? Now we can blow up the Earth.
Daffy Duck is a great adversary because he's the anti-Bugs, where Bugs Bunny is cool and collected. Daffy is very manic. where Bugs is selfless, Daffy is very greedy.
Quick, quick, save me, pal, and it's yours. Gorgeous, isn't it? Don't be afraid. Heaven appraised, any place.
Everything for Daffy Duck requires tremendous amounts of effort, and everything for Bugs Bunny is effortless. So it's a beautiful contrast.
I don't consider Daffy Duck an adversary.
I don't think of Daffy as an adversary. I think of him as a colleague.
They get each other. It's an agreed upon dynamic.
It's just that Daffy, in his greedy little way, tries to take advantage of the friendship.
And then maybe a right turn at La Jolla. Well, we can't be too far off. So if we,
It's mine, you understand? Mine, all mine. Get back in there.
Anytime he was paired with Bugs, to be Bugs' adversary, again, kind of frenemies. And aware of each other's status as cartoon stars. Bugs would always step on stage, you know, timid little Bugs, and get applause from the audience. And then, of course, Daffy pops on, and it's always crickets.
Oh, listen to that. They love me.
I think my favorite is the Tasmanian Devil.
Tag. You're it, Baggy Eyes.
Because he plays by no rules. Bugs Bunny's like that to an extent. He plays by his own rules, but Tasmanian Devil has no rules. He's just nuts.
Hey, Baggy Eyes.
My favorite adversary for Bugs Bunny is Daffy Duck, far and away.
Rabbit season. Duck season. Rabbit season. Rabbit season. Duck season. Fire! Would you like to shoot me now or wait till you get home? Shoot him now! Shoot him now! You keep out of this. He doesn't have to shoot you now.
He does so have to shoot me now. I demand that you shoot me now.
Bugs can mess him up on wordplay.
You keep out of this. He doesn't have to shoot you now. Let's run through that again. Okay. Would you like to shoot me now or wait till you get home?
Shoot him now. Shoot him now.
You keep out of this. He doesn't have to shoot you now.
Ha! That's it. Hold it right there.
Aha! Pronoun treble.
I remember hearing Chuck talk about that dialogue. Chuck would do one side, Mel would do the other side, and then they'd switch roles. So they would get the cadence exactly the way Chuck wanted it.
It's not he doesn't have to shoot you now. It's he doesn't have to shoot me now.
I almost want Daffy to just for once, just get the better of him. But then maybe I don't.
Well, I say he does have to shoot me now. So shoot me now.
The calm that Bugs brings counterbalances the insanity of Daffy or Yosemite or Taz. Even Marvin Martian, who doesn't move a lot, but his little feet just keep moving, and, you know, he gets very angry.
You make me very angry.
Whereas that's not Bugs. You know, it's the antithesis of that.
I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
It's Wabbit season, and you're watching Bugs Bunny's Birthday Bash. We'll be right back after the break.
When criminals in this world appear and break the laws that they should fear and frighten all who see or hear, the cry goes out both far and near for speed of lightning, roar of thunder, fighting all who rob or plunder.
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
Weekday mornings at 9, 8 Central on
Just below me.
Me TV Toons.
Bugs Bunny in 3 words. Superstar, hero, a person. The fact that I think of Bugs Bunny as a person.
What comes to mind is calm, confident, and hero.
Bugs Bunny is probably one of the most influential characters in comedy history.
Here I am!
When you see today the use of irony, of asides, of just clever wordplay, that all goes back to all of us watching Bugs Bunny as a kid.
Bugs Bunny is the Johnny Carson of cartoons.
He's a cartoon superstar.
It's all because his original shorts that kind of established his place in American pop culture. These Warner Brothers shorts were actually made for theatrical release and purposes. They would play in front of old Warner Brothers classic movies.
Say, just a moment. Hold your horses. It's one of them there Bugs Bunny cartoonies are coming on.
Whoever was the genius that was behind syndicating them had the best idea in the world.
Somebody has the genius idea of putting Bugs on TV on Saturday mornings, and it really was a game changer. Instead of having to go to a movie theater to see a little bit of Bugs Bunny, you could sit on the comfort of your couch on a Saturday morning.
Bugs Bunny conquered the screen. He conquered television. He's big on video games, comic books, everything.
What's up, Doc? I like you.
No matter if it's in a commercial, if it's in a theatrical film, or whatever short incarnation, we're always going to see somebody that we love, that we want to be, that we're rooting for.
During World War II, Bugs was sort of a national mascot that was sort of an icon and inspiration to the war effort.
Holy cats, I've been drafted!
He was used on patches that were put on jackets. He was on nose art on planes in the Air Force. And he was in patriotic films that were used to boost morale.
During the war, my dad did a special thing called Any Bonds Today that they showed in every theater. It had a huge impact.
The tall man with the high hat will be coming down your way. Get your savings out when you hear him shout, Any Bonds Today. Come on and get him, folks. Come on, skip right up and get him.
It was literally shown in every film, every time.
Bugs, almost more than any other animated character, was perfect for this role because Bugs is a character who stands up against injustice. Bugs is the little guy who isn't going to be walked over. He is going to fight until the battle is won. And he was the perfect symbol for how we felt about the fight during World War II.
Sorry, fellas. I can't play with you anymore. I got some important work to do. We will fight our country's battles on the land as on the sea.
Bugs Bunny was an honorary member of the Marine Corps, and with good reason. If you were the enemy and you saw something coming at you with Bugs Bunny's logo on it, you know that they mean business, that something's going to explode. Because that's what Bugs Bunny does. He explodes stuff, and the next one's coming for you, pal.
Bugs Bunny was the first cartoon character on a U.S. first-class postage stamp.
We created stamps inspired by many of his most famous films, including Rabbit of Seville, Space Jam, What's Opera Doc, Baseball Bugs. We wanted to really show Bugs as a quick change artist and all the personas that he's put on in his shorts over the years.
One for you. And me, boy. One for you. And me, boy.
It's actually quite symbolic that he's the first character to be on a postage stamp because he does represent the American spirit. You know, this can-do spirit, this independent spirit.
Who wouldn't want a letter from Bugs with the stamp of approval from Bugs Bunny?
Oh, it's a letter from your favorite rabbit.
It's kind of amazing that this exists and we get to be a part of this.
Bugs Bunny had to appeal to multi-generations, and that's why to this day, boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, and even Gen Zers, they love Bugs Bunny even if they've been watching Bugs Bunny on very different mediums.
All of his gags, all of his posturing, all of his timing, all of his sassiness, all of his zingers, all of his understated looks at the camera with his hand like that. That's all there, and it's still there. He's even got some Jackie Gleason in him. To the moon, and, you know, away we go.
He's won an Oscar, starred opposite Michael Jordan. When you think about Bugs Bunny, I mean, he is a cultural icon.
There was an article in the New York Times about Richard Pryor.
There's all types of ways to make people laugh.
Who was one of my favorite comedians. And the interviewer asked him, where do you get your timing? And his answer was Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, the Roadrunner, in terms of his razor-sharp timing and characterization.
I guarantee you, every single comedian you know now watched Bugs Bunny as a kid, picked up timing, picked up clever asides, maybe studied Bugs, and they're sort of playing a little Bugs in their routines.
I did stand-up comedy for 10 years. Did I ever steal anything from Bugs Bunny? Yes, I did. And what I stole from Bugs Bunny is, put the person down, but don't really put them down. Let them know that you're in charge, you're in control, much like Bugs Bunny. You don't stand a chance.
If you look closely at most TV shows or movies, you're going to see really archetypal characters that are just reflective of a lot of the Looney Tunes characters. The Bradley Cooper character in The Hangover, and now I watched it, I was like, oh, this is the Bugs Bunny character. I'm cool, I'm fun, I'm engaged, I'm kind of above it all. I'm going to steal a police car, and I'm not going to get in trouble for it.
There was a gentleman that was the head of the Ringling Brothers Clown College. Steve Smith was his name, and used to bring Chuck Jones down to teach about comedic timing to clowns, because the difference of, you know, 1 beat and 2 beats is going to be the difference between funny and almost funny. Whoopi Goldberg talked about that she learned comedic timing from watching Chuck's cartoons.
And I'm sure Chuck would be the first to tell you Bugs Bunny is an actor that is employed by Hollywood and a movie star. He has his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
You show a picture of Bugs Bunny to anybody, anywhere, they're gonna go, yeah, I know who that guy is. That's Bugs Bunny. I hope he's got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, because he deserves one.
For any great creative endeavor that lasts a very long time, whether it's Shakespeare or the Rolling Stones, and certainly the Looney Tunes cartoons, it has to do with where that inspiration came from. Then that sort of pool of creativity that either individuals or groups tap into, that is just the joy of doing it. It's not necessarily for the purpose of having to sell something or create something for commerce.
Our pictures were never made for children. They were never made for adults. They were made for us.
One of the last cells that I painted when I was doing the cell painting for Chuck was I should have turned left at Albuquerque.
I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
That was one of the last cells that I ended up painting before he passed away.
I don't think there's any question that my father was aware of how popular Bugs Bunny had become over the years, and believed that others could find ways of utilizing the new tools to continue the popularity of this amazing character.
Timeless. Timeless. You think of him in his ears and postage stamps and movies, toys. You can find Bugs anywhere.
Bugs Bunny was the subject of a symphony at the Hollywood Bowl and at great musical venues all around the country. And that's partially because of the great music in the cartoons and the cartoons that Bugs Bunny stars in where they feature the music. So many great cartoons revolve around classical music. More people have said they've learned everything they know about classical music from watching Bugs Bunny cartoons.
To this day, when I hear certain songs that are opera songs, I go, they got that from a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Classical music would be something that Bugs and the Looney Tunes have taught me. All those guys teach you a lot of life lessons, probably in a way that you don't even realize.
The more we know Bugs, we begin to have expectations of what we want to see. And I know that it's like when you go to see somebody in concert and they don't sing their hit, because they're trying to sell a new album. You're like, I know, I like the new music. Thanks so much. Sing your hit. Sing it. Sing it. And with Bugs, you always get the hit. He always sings his hits. He's not promoting a new album. He's just Bugs, and he always sings the hits.
In an age where we can't agree on much in this culture, I think we all still agree that we love Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny has been a part of our lives from the moment we were born, and he'll be around long after we die.
Here's to you, Bugs Bunny. You're watching the MeTV Toons Bugs Bunny Birthday Bash.
Ah, my public. How they love me.
All Smurfs, please report for an emergency meeting.
If you're feeling blue, you're in the right place. You can be blue in the face, blue around the gills, have the blues.
I do the jokes around here.
You could be smurfing, or smurfing, or smurfing, or even need to smurf.
There is the proper time and a place for those kinds of jokes.
The Smurfs, weekdays starting at 10, 9 Central on MeTV Toons. Catch all the globe-trotting adventures of Johnny Quest.
Okay, here goes.
Sunday at 6:30, 5:30 Central on MeTV Toons.
Now, what do we do for an encore?
Where does Bugs Bunny go from here? The character has been able to reinvent himself so many times that I think you just look at new platforms, new ways of disseminating Bugs Bunny, and you'll find him.
What is the next thing? Three-dimensional holographic virtual reality? Well, I guarantee you Bugs Bunny will conquer that too.
I think he should be on every social media platform. I think Bugs Bunny should be a Kardashian.
I probably wouldn't be surprised if there was a real-life Bugs Bunny movie to come out at some point.
I hope they don't do a live-action version. Please, please keep it animated. Except Bugs Bunny on Ice. That's a good time.
You don't have to change him.
There's no reason to reinvent the wheel, or there's no reason to reinvent the rabbit.
He doesn't have to, be on a skateboard with a backwards baseball hat or any of this kind of stuff where people try to modernize him. He can just be who he is.
There are plenty of stories and plenty of gags and plenty to delight audiences forever.
Got a million of them.
I want Bugs to stay around. I think it's very important, not only for nostalgia's sake, but for what he brings to cartoons and to kids of all ages who find joy and laughter during troubling times. Bugs' way forward is always the right way.
I think the good news is when you have an iconic cartoon character like Bugs Bunny, he is forever.
Happy birthday, Bugs. You look great for your age.
Thanks, Doc. I've always been prematurely gray. It's true, Doc. What would the world be